Good morning, Sanjeev. Good morning, Ted. On the sidelines of Intellect Oxford School of Wholesale Banking, we have opportunity to talk to you on the lawns of the Roadhouse, where the last few centuries the learning technologies have evolved, and we are talking about the latest and cutting edge topic on AI technologies, which is just emerging on the roots and foundations of last 700 years of Oxford way of extracting the best from the human mind. I would like to welcome Sanjeev and ask you to introduce yourself and have a conversation around AI.
Thank you, Arun. It is a privilege and a pleasure to be here in such fantastic surroundings. There's academics oozing out of every tree and blade of grass and the buildings. And as you rightly said, I think this is a fantastic way to blend the 700 plus years of academic history and tradition into what is the future. The human mind is limitless, and I think what we hopefully will talk about today, we'll cover that. Just a little bit of background on myself. I'm Sanjeeb Chaudhuri. I'm currently the chairman of IDFC First Bank in India. I have had a long career in finance. I was the CEO for Citigroup for EMEA, and after that, the regional CEO for Standard Chartered Bank and global head of marketing for the bank. But I had a previous life, which is, I was trained as a banker, and I had a long career in consumer products with Unilever and Colgate, Palmolive, and Procter & Gamble. So I think what this mix of backgrounds gives me is a willingness to look at the consumer at every stage. What does he or she want? And create products and services and communicate to them the value of those products and services. So as I've always said, it's always let's communicate the benefits rather than the features of anything we do. So that's life, and I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Ted?
Yes, well, thank you and welcome for me back to Oxford. I spent 6 years here on the faculty, so it's wonderful to be back in the city of spires, because it's both awesome and awe-inspiring, and I think it does. It expands your thinking when you're in the context of a place where for 1,000 years some of the best minds have gathered. You can't help but want to partake and be part of that. My own background is diverse. I'm I would say scholar, diplomat, strategist, so I've spanned 3 different universes, hopefully combining them. As a PhD international economist in the US State Department, as an international diplomat, as the Deputy Executive Secretary of the UN in Geneva, and really, frankly, for the last 20-25 years running my own company in the world of thought leadership with some of the major corporations of the world. I was on the board of Davos, of course. I ran the Aspen Institute for a period of time. And I worked with Ted Turner at CNN in another enterprise. So I've had about 150 different corporate clients, some of which were okay. And I've gotten to know Arun Jain, which is a good bump along the way, who's dragged me to Chennai when I was on the board of Polaris, and now, of course, as an international advisor to Intellect, the very, very, very impressive product company in financial services. And I think that when we get into this discussion on AI, sometimes the hype and the enthusiasm overtakes us, and a little bit. I'm reminded of the famous internet bubble and how it all collapsed. But we really couldn't live our lives today without the internet. It is so ingrained and part of everything. I think we'll soon be finding the same is true of AI.
Very interesting point. You connected internet over here in 1994, 95, when we were a technology company. Internet was just evolving. Citibank, Sanjeev was my client, and we keep on debating what the role of internet can evolve to. And it was a boardroom conversation, but not really anything happening on the ground till 98, 99. First level conversation happened that it can be used beyond a search engine, and to me, AI is in the same space today where ChatGPT is good search engine and it's very synthesized knowledge. How does it play a role in enterprises is still a jury is not out, because there is in AI space there are foundational model, which is whenever any technology evolves, there is a foundational technology evolved, which is a foundational model which Silicon Valley plays critical role in the root level investment. And when we looked at AI from last 9 years, we looked at it how continuously generative AI and predictive AI and machine learning models can be put together to create a common perspective of it. But I think it's a very significant effort since we came from the last 39 years in our journey of solving enterprise problems. We are looking from a lens of applied AI, not foundational AI and applied AI, which is coming up. So Sanjeev, from your perspective, what is the AI future you see in?
I think the opportunity is immense, but as I think Ted mentioned a little while back, the hype sometimes overshadows the real opportunity and the potential. I think at a very fundamental level, what CEOs and boards are now grappling with is to come to terms with how AI can really add value and be of benefit to a firm's output in terms of revenues, profits, etc., etc. Unfortunately, people don't know what they don't know, and therefore sometimes they're embarrassed to admit it, and therefore there's a lot of hype and jargon that goes around, some of which is not helpful. So I think if we were to really peel the onion and come to specifically what you need, I think the first need of the hour is a clear understanding and a mandate from the board and the CEOs in organizations saying that we have to get onto this bandwagon and be at the front of it rather than at the back. The second is, I think, the ability to attract talent who will be interested in this subject. If you ask me, this is not a subject where you are going to have the luxury of teaching people in universities about AI and then waiting for them to join the workforce. You have to retrain, uptrain, reskill your existing workforce, and it has to be an extremely horizontal activity. Because to my mind, the capabilities of AI transcend every function in the organization, whether it is sales and marketing, customer experience, human resources, financial planning, compliance and regulatory planning, etc. So according to me, it cuts across the organization, and the ability to get it into the DNA of an organization, I think, is the responsibility of the CEO and the senior management. They should own it passionately and then take it down the organization. I think that is the opportunity.
It's an immense opportunity. I picked up that it has to be retrained, uptrained, it has to be reimagined. The entire workforce has to be reimagined. To me, it's about reimagine the business in AI way. It's a new tectonic shift which happened, and this tectonic shift, it's reimagining the entire customer, how the customer experiences, reimagining how the products are designed around it. It is reimagining operations, how the operations can be run very differently, and it's about reimagining regulation and compliance and risk to be reimagined. And once you reimagine, reimagination is gives a new energy to the organization, but there's too much of a forces which pulls it down for reimagination. Ted, you have an experience of 150 organization. What pulls this organization down for change of new way of reimagining?
Well, I would say first in the broadest context, and we're here at Oxford University, when you think about the history of the last 250, 300 years, we were at a period of time where the entire world was poor and sick. The average age was, 35 years. We have progressed in this period, this wonderful, I call it the period of technological change, from poor and sick to relatively wealthy, relatively healthy, not uniformly in all society, still obviously inequities, but that trajectory of technology is again thinking where AI will play in, how that takes us to this very broad scope into the immediate future, because I don't think like Sanjeeb, that it's going to be something that we wait and train, and in a generation, it's already taking effect. And there are lots of early adopters. There are a lot of companies, obviously, in this space that are new, that are very well financed, very well funded. I mean, I talked to OpenAI, I talked to Anthropic, I talked to Elon Musk. Anything that Elon Musk is involved is going to be very, very, very exponential in its growth. So I find that lots of companies now are saying, we're going to make a commitment to this. We're going to make an attempt to ingrain it into our DNA. And some of the bigger and older companies may be wary about it, but I think they feel the pulse and they know they have to. So we're at that kind of juncture point now. Some people say it's flatlining or redlining. I don't believe that's the case. I think we're at the early stage, and it's really going to be phenomenal for the next probably decade or decade and a half. And like, we don't talk about the internet anymore. I think eventually we won't talk about it. It'll be so much embedded in what we do, how we think, how we process.
Yes.
Yeah. So what will enable us to remove this thinking friction at thinking level, friction at resistance of the human mind to change, and protective mind is there, which holds back us to bring a change. Even though we know it's real, it's going to be there, but sometimes over euphoria and people are spending huge money on promise of co-pilots or promise of various chat GPTs that it will change the transformation. And when somebody says it's flatlining, what I'm hearing is that if you invested few millions of dollars and tens and 20, hundreds of million dollars for change, and you are not translating into cost or revenue, then this kind of flatlining is a kind of noise which is seen in the market. So
you have to have a business case, obviously, for what you're doing, and the board and the market will oversee some of that. I think part of the answer is also generational. Anyone under a certain age, I don't want to pick that number, but it's certainly below our number, has already adopted this. It's already much a part of their life. And as they progress through corporations, it will just be business as normal.
That's right.
I think, the opportunity really is to really communicate to our employees, our partners, that it is something that will add value to what they already do. It will really enhance what they're already achieving at their workplace. It will make them more productive. It will increase the kinds of things that they can do by providing new perspectives. And to that extent, I think that communication is critical. It has to be across the length and breadth of the organization. It cannot be a top-down mandate that please implement AI, because then there is inertia, there is a concern that some jobs will be lost. Nothing of that sort will happen. It will be a more productive world, to the analogy that Ted gave a few minutes back about being a relatively more healthier and a more affluent world that has been created. It will become a more healthier and a more affluent world, because AI will help not just financial services, it will help healthcare, it will help governance, it will help all kinds of industries. So I think the key is to really democratize the concept of AI. And to your point, I think that was a very valid point, that when a company or a board invests money, they want to see a return. And when they don't see it, they tend to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think the opportunity is to really create projects of bite size with very measurable outcomes, measure them, see them, and then grow it from there. So I would not throw too much money upfront into one thing, but do experiments all around, and most of them will work. And we are already seeing that. We are already, there are areas of our business we are already experiencing the benefits of AI.
So when our research team at Intellect was working in last 9 years, we believe that AI is going to simplify the mechanics of reaching financial to the last mile financial issues and solving it, and it can speed up the process of whether it's an insurance policy or it's a lending system or a wealth system advisory or it's a corporate banking advisory. We found initial significant hurdles in making accuracy beyond 90%. For business impact AI, we need accuracy of beyond 95%, and that's where large language model played a role. In this area, when we start looking at what is intelligence means the human intelligence is applying the knowledge to solve certain problem. Now, if you look at this piece, then knowledge becomes a centerpiece of AI. There is a knowledge which is sitting in a global world, which is being recorded in a LLMs. So there are more than 900,000 LLMs today in the world, and they are recording all this vectorization of knowledge which is available. So there is no dearth of a outside knowledge. Now the question is, how do I make my enterprise knowledge garden? I had a databases. I moved to data warehouses, then I moved to data lakes. Now this data lake has a beautiful clean water, needs to feed into the enterprise knowledge garden, where this knowledge of enterprise, which is a moat of the company. Any company moat depends on the knowledge a enterprise has, and that knowledge today lives in enterprises in a functional silos, people silos, and horizontal silos. So these silos are what enterprise knowledge garden, and the today vectorization of the knowledge with the proper structure, watering and nurturing and curating. And we are generating knowledge every day. Every day in the organization, when I have a conversation, any meeting which is happening, you generate a new knowledge. When you have minutes of meeting happening, this conversation is happening, we are generating knowledge. Knowledge is a constant process, and today with enterprise knowledge garden, it can be curated. What human was aspiring for so many years, that this document which is sitting behind my SharePoint, sitting behind my documents, sitting behind my emails, how do you bring that into the knowledge garden and curate it, not make a forest of the knowledge, but a garden of the knowledge?
Absolutely.
No, I think this analogy is wonderful, Arun. We're sitting in a wonderful garden. We're talking about the garden of humanity. We should talk about the Garden of Eden if we wanted to be theological.
Yeah.
It's a profound analogy.
Yeah.
Because we're also contributing to the growth of this garden over time. I think eventually we may not even use the word artificial intelligence. It will be so much a part and parcel of what we do. It will be just expected.
Lovely.
And I find a company like, for instance, Palantir, which has been at this for a while, and I know Peter and the company, and it's been very successful. I mean, the trajectory was slow at first, but it's now exponential. They have found ways to move this discussion into boardrooms, into governments, into other establishments where you can use all of the data and all of these silos.
That's right.
And actually make it very relevant and improve decision making, and eventually, I mean, we all agree, improve the quality of life.
Yeah. So what Palantir is my aspirational company. The way they started in 2005 in understanding an AI in government sector, where the knowledge is so intensely required in various departments, and the way they progressed, and we built our platform understanding Palantir, and then build it up. But how they started from government and we started from commercial organization, and from commercial organization like Citibank or JP Morgan Chase or Barclays or large global bank HDFC Bank. All these banks have a different way of looking at things. The compliance becomes so intense for them, and regulation becomes so intense for them. So one important thing we looked at it is that AI today is looking more like agents. Agent is like a skills which is embedded in a task, which you solve the particular task by task. But enterprise looks for the experts. There is a shortage of experts, and we always look for the experts. And to me, we have a human expert. Can we create digital expert? Yep. Digital expert will work 24/7, will not have any bias of my function. It will respond same way to everybody in the organization. So you have an advantage of digital expert over human expert, because human expert always comes with the biases. A digital expert may not have a bias. And to us, we design a technology called Enterprise Digital Expert technology, where we are orchestrating multi-agents who are talking to each other. It's not like a human being talks to each other. These agents talk to each other, and they orchestrate the decision together as a team. And then human being comes, where they orchestrate multiple agents, and wherever these agents require help, so then human becomes a in the loop rather than AI in the loop. So a lot of time we are saying think AI. I think think AI and bring human in the loop wherever they're requiring. So this enterprise digital expert technology, what we have integrated and put it together for creating a business impact AI, we are finding there are some, for every industry they need some 30 and 40 experts, while underlying agents can be 300, 400, but they are lying so
infinite. I mean,
yeah, it's infinite, but I want to define as a design thinker that everything is finite in the world. We need to just put a cartographic map of doing it.
No, I think, to Ted's point, first of all, I think the concept of artificial intelligence, I think it should be more called augmented intelligence.
Beautiful point, yeah.
Because frankly, that's what we are doing. We are augmenting human intelligence and taking it manifold, increasing the scale and scope of it.
Lovely.
So I think that is the first. The second is, I think, the knowledge garden that you talked about. It brought to my mind the capability that today data is stored in organizations in different silos, as you said, because of the context. You store some data for regulatory reporting, you store some data for credit, you store some data for marketing, and they're all in silos. So when you try to extract the data, it is not extractable and meaningful. So to be able to curate it like a garden in a forest, again, the lovely analogy that you gave, you experience that garden much better walking through a forest. So I think that is the capability that I think your enterprise knowledge garden brings to the table, that you are able to make the data completely accessible at any point in time by anyone in the organization. And the last point you made on productivity, I think the ability to access this kind of knowledge, whether it is organic in-company knowledge or external knowledge, and bringing it all together, it increases the opportunity for a company to grow its business infinitely.
Interesting.
That is the opportunity.
So what I'm hearing from you is AI is in augmented intelligence. So it's not supposed to be, as Ted also mentioning, it's not. It may people will forget it's AI as a separate piece. It becomes synthesized into the organizational intelligence.
Move it in that direction.
Human is in the center of
Human in the center of it.
Because there is a lot of fear in some circles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like a Luddite fear of any technology, but there are circles that are very afraid of robotization or taking over, human capacity, or somehow taking it out of the hands of human decision makers. So there is that element, and then you have, of course, the reaction of regulation, and you see the different attitudes between, say, a U.S. West Coast kind of mentality, leave it alone, and the European mentality, which is highly regulated. So it'd be interesting to see how that also evolves, and how different corporations in different geographical settings. Because, they're not all just multinational companies. I mean, I think, this whole process will be used by all companies. It's not just the largest companies. I think it's everyone.
Some fears we are hearing on the governance of AI. So because have any thought on governance of AI? Because in large corporation,
that is true. In fact, increasingly, even pre-AI, if you like, and that frankly is a long time back, the models that were used, because we've been using models to predict, to plan, to extend credit, regulation is already asking you to make the models very transparent. And frankly, AI has that capability to make any model that we create extremely transparent and auditable. Once you create that capability and give a sense of confidence to the regulator in different geographies, I think it will be fine. And I think, therefore, I was getting an idea from Ted's point, that I think one of the key stakeholders in this adoption process has to be the regulator. The regulator has to understand what it is, what it can do, and what are the guardrails that you've created upfront, so that it's not something that will go wild and then lose control. So I think that is something.
The use of the word guardrails is important, because I think that's this sort of center focus right now. What is the guardrail? Who gets to decide the guardrails? Will it be overly bureaucratic, or will there be enough space of freedom to actually be creative? the way that intellect is created.
Yeah. So I think that's the biggest challenge we had when we launched within Intellect the usage of AI. Who should get what knowledge? And there was a bureaucratic angle sitting in the exco of Intellect saying, no, this should be available here, this should be available here, it should be horizontally, junior people should get this knowledge, senior people will get this knowledge. And I think that's what I call it, entitlements of knowledge, the explainability of the decisions, what we are taking, traceability, and how each decision is done. So the third technology which Purple Fabric is bringing on the table is enterprise governance, which has a traceability of what agent is asking question to other agent. Even that question is recorded. How agent is thinking is getting recorded, and traceability of that question that agent A has asked agent B this question to solve this particular problem. So this enterprise governance, since we have understood some of the things, because when we are running the intense Reserve Bank of India core banking systems, the kind of applicability of their regulation, we understand that how important to define enterprise governance of AI. And once we provide that, chances are customer will be more comfortable in deploying AI at a complete branch manager staff, relationship manager staff. They can use enterprise GPT. The way you have chat GPT, enterprise GPT will be consist of enterprise knowledge, external knowledge, structured data, what they have sitting in a data lake, and all of three thumbs comes where data will come as a service, knowledge will come as second service. It becomes expertise as a service.
Correct.
So as soon as enterprise comes into expertise as a service,
Fantastic.
it could be a
Scale and instantaneous, real time. I think
And of course, the governmental authorities themselves will have use of the same kinds of artificial intelligence. So it has ramifications about how I think we govern ourselves, even in democratic societies.
That's it.
The availability of information, the longer range thinking. Now, there have been books recently written about the so-called technological republic.
Technological republic, okay, interesting.
The way that AI will even affect the way we, sort of do our politics and maybe run our lives. So you don't have to run too far ahead. You either have a very complicated picture of that, or sometimes a very dystopian picture of that. But I think that the fact is it's there. This is not going away. This is part and parcel of what the next decades look like.
I think you're saying technology republic. To me, it's coming LLM republic.
The color is purple. Fortunately, purple is
it's
historical.
Yeah.
The color of royalty and power too.
So this LLMs which are coming up, so much knowledge is getting, so much investment is going on, as you rightly said. Each person is trying to say, I want to build up a knowledge of particular subject, but very deep, not at a level 1, but I need to build up. I go to the basement 4 for building the knowledge, and usage of the LLMs for various decision making will define how do I select LLM,
Correct.
how do I benchmark LLM from speed, cost and accuracy perspective, and how do we constantly keep on looking, this cost will keep on coming down, LLM cost will keep on coming down, because
benefits will be more quantifiable.
then business benefit will be more quantifiable, my input cost will be lower for creating a business impact. So that's the fourth technology stack when we are looking at solving the business impact. AI is about bringing those elements together, that which knowledge library should I use? I should use Bodleian library from Oxford, or I use other library. LLMs to me are the knowledge repository which I am using and wedding with the enterprise knowledge which is available and structured data which is available, and apply in a context of a particular problem solving. What you mentioned in the beginning, that AI has to be contextual to one area where it could be measurable.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
And that's a business impact, we can measure it.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So thank you very much, Ted and Sanjeeb, to hear your perspective on the way world is
Thank
changing.
you, Arun, for your generosity in life, but also for your keen insight into all these things. We look to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arun. So,
Thank you.
And lovely conversation.
Very lovely, very interesting conversation. Thank you.